It's April 1777 in Dutchess County, New York. Inside a quiet farmhouse, a local family is winding down for the evening, miles away from the front lines of the American Revolution. Among them is 16-year-old Sybil Ludington, spending her evening completing ordinary household chores, far removed from the brutal realities of combat. But just a short distance away, over 2,000 British troops aggressively march inland, aiming straight for the Continental Army Supply Depot in Danbury, Connecticut. When the British reach Danbury and torch those supplies, the violence of the war officially crosses the threshold. It is no longer a distant political struggle. It has arrived directly at the Ludington doorstep. The quiet of the farmhouse is shattered when a mud-soaked messenger collapses at their door. He has been riding hard through a severe spring rainstorm to bring news of the attack. This creates an impossible dilemma for Sybil's father, Colonel Henry Ludington. As the local militia commander, he is the only man who can organize the defense once the troops arrive. He cannot leave his post. Right now, his men have no idea the British are coming. This is a map showing the tactical problem of the region. The Ludington home sits in the center, but his militiamen are scattered across dozens of isolated farms in the pitch-black countryside, while a highly organized British force is already on the move. The messenger who delivered the news is physically destroyed. He cannot get back on a horse. The chain of communication has snapped. Without a rider to navigate the storm and carry the muster orders, those scattered farmers will stay asleep, and the region will fall by morning. Into this sudden military vacuum steps a 16-year-old girl. Sybil volunteers to take the saddle. Delivering dispatches was hard enough for trained cavalry riders. Sending a civilian teenaged girl out into a violent storm in the dead of night defied every social expectation and basic rule of safety in colonial America. The weather shared the road with a second danger: skinners. These were bands of vicious, unaffiliated outlaws known to ambush, rob, and kill vulnerable travelers on dark roads. By opening that front door, Sybil accepted a high probability risk of death. She prioritized the survival of her community over the guaranteed safety of her own home. This map of the North American colonies shows the border territory between New York and Connecticut, which was rugged, isolated, and densely forested. To reach every single unalerted household, Sybil had to navigate a sprawling 40-mile loop through this exact wilderness, and she had to do it completely blind. The storm was relentless. Torrential rain turned dirt paths into thick, deep mud that threatened to drag her horse down with every stride. She rode without a musket or a military escort. Her only piece of equipment was a heavy wooden stick, which she used to urge her horse, Star, forward and to defend herself from anything lurking in the trees. At every isolated cabin, she hauled back on the reins, violently striking doors with her stick and shouting to wake the families inside. Riding 40 miles on horseback takes hours, tearing at the muscles and steadily draining the body's core temperature as the freezing rain continues to fall. She possessed no military rank and no specialized survival gear. Success relied entirely on willpower, pushing a civilian body to function miles past its physical limit. By the time the sun finally began to rise, Sybil rode back into her family's yard, battered, completely soaked, and physically depleted. But her yard was no longer empty. Because of the miles she had covered, nearly 400 armed militiamen were now standing by, organized under her father's command. Those alerted men immediately marched south to the Battle of Ridgefield. They successfully intercepted the British forces, aggressively harassing their lines and severely crippling their retreat back to the coast. The successful colonial defense of that entire region and the disruption of the British war machine was only made possible because one unarmed teenager refused to stay safely inside. This chart compares Sybil's achievement to the era's most famous writer. Paul Revere was a 40-year-old man who rode 12.5 miles with an armed escort. Sybil Ludington was a 16-year-old girl who rode 40 miles alone in a severe storm. Yet Revere became an American icon, primarily because Henry Wadsworth Longfellow wrote a catchy poem about him decades later. Sybil's ride survived in the shadows, preserved mostly through local letters and quiet family lore. Her legacy is a record of how change actually occurs. History is built on the unrecorded, immense bravery of ordinary people, proving that world-altering heroism requires no commission, no fame, and no specific age.